We are live.
We
Here
are
we
live.
are. We are live. So, thank you everybody for joining. If you are already tuned in, this is an episode of Yankee Chatter featuring the wonderful talents of the Bigger and Bradder Sports Show.
Wonderful talents.
Wonderful talents. Don't forget it. My name is.
Write that down.
My name is Greg Andriano. You can find me on Twitter at GregAndriano05. And those guys on the other side of the screen, which I think it points that way, are my brothers up north. Why don't you guys introduce yourself?
We're definitely up north. It's cold outside.
Yeah, it snows today.
We're inside. We're still wearing sweatshirts. So that tells you something. But
I always wear a sweatshirt though.
This is Brad at Bradder Chatter 1 on Twitter and part of the B&B Sports Show.
Big Tuna, BBS, part of the Bigger and Bradder Sports Network. Just hang with me because I'm not very good about baseball, but I'm trying.
Well, we appreciate you joining us, Tino. This is a good opportunity to have a good discussion with people that are familiar with the game and with people that aren't quite as into the game of baseball. It helps asking questions because we know all these things and we're familiar with it, but sometimes we don't think outside the box, and it adds another perspective to the whole conversation.
Yeah, well, the one thing that I was just because I post a lot of stuff, it was very interesting with all the trade stuff recently. There's it's so funny how a trade rumors start one day and then they're so close this day, but they don't complete it till like 3 weeks later.
Yeah, they've been talking about Mookie Betts for a long time, it seems.
Pretty much since the end of the season, they've been talking about Mookie Betts being moved. Actually, and then they fired the GM. So,
but why? What was his issue?
So Boston's ex-GM, now ex-GM Dombrowski, was his last name.
Mm-hmm.
He has a reputation of pretty much going to a team, depleting their whole farm system and money just to win a championship. He did that with the Tigers.
Mm-hmm.
And did it with the Boston Red Sox.
Boston signed him. He did the same thing. They have no farm system, and they are so far ahead above the luxury tax that they just keep getting fined, and now this year they actually got draft picks taken away. So Boston's like, we need to
dump players.
We need to dump him, players, everything, and pretty much start from scratch.
Yeah, no, I was when it finally happened, I thought it was just for him, but another like David Price was there. I was like, oh, I know who he is. You know what I'm saying?
So Betts they're trying to get rid of because he's making a lot of money, and
but
they
Price
think he's going to leave. Betts is going to leave after this year because he's a free agent.
He's pretty much said he was going to.
Yeah, and Price is just not worth the money that they're paying him, so they want to get rid of his salary too.
Yeah. He's owed $96 million still on his contract, and it's over 3 years. So,
33 a year.
Yeah,
damn.
That's insane, and he's not worth it. And I mean, he's still a good pitcher aside from when he faces the Yankees. But I don't know if you've been paying attention to what's been going on today. But there's been a couple snags in the trade. It hasn't been announced by either team yet. MLB's announced it. The framework's in place. But one of the prospects that Boston was supposed to get in return from the third team, the Minnesota Twins, that were involved. I wrote down his name, Brusdar Graterol.
Really well in the minors last year. Yep.
Yeah, and he's supposed to be highly touted, but they were trading for him with the intention of using him as a starter. But apparently he came off of Tommy John surgery last year, and they have some concerns about his medical reports.
He can't pass his physical right now. He's not passing it.
Right. So. But everybody else has. Verdugo has, Betts has, Price has. So they're just waiting on this. And they're not sure if this is the package that's going to be moved for Betts and Price. It could change. It could be they could take out the Twins entirely.
They just eliminate the Twins?
They could. Yeah. They could, and they might end up asking for more from LA in return.
Even with the Twins, I am one in the opinion that I think the Dodgers got a steal here, and Boston, I don't think got back what they should have gotten for Betts. Even though he only has 1 year left in his contract, they didn't get much back, in my opinion.
No, I don't think they did. I think the Dodgers definitely won this trade if it's the one that ends up going through. Just to recap, the Dodgers get Mookie Betts and David Price. The Red Sox get Alex Verdugo from the Dodgers and Brusdar Graterol from the Twins. And the Twins get from the Dodgers Kenta Maeda.
Yeah. Who?
So the Dodgers get two decent talents for like nothing.
Oh, really, really good talent. Well, Betts is the top three player.
But
in the
that's
league.
what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Price is that's just a nice little add-on.
Well, Price is going to be their probably third starter in LA. And I think
Easily.
I think he's going to be
Easily.
awesome.
But behind, well, now he's moving. I believe that where the Dodgers play is a pitcher's park. So you're also your number 3 starter behind Kershaw and Walker Buehler.
Yep.
So I mean, he's got it made in the shade, and that's just a superstar. So yeah, Dodgers making out pretty good here. Red Sox get Verdugo, who's a really good young prospect, but I mean, there's no guarantee with prospects, and they're just doing it to unload the salaries because, like we said, David Price, he's owed $96 million over the next 3 years. Now the Red Sox are going to contribute a little bit to that, but it hasn't been released how much.
Probably about half, right?
Probably, and they could change. Maybe that's one of the things that changes is they take the Twins out and up the amount Boston's paying for it, or reduce it so it's not that much in the Dodgers' favor. But Maeda, go ahead.
And this trade is actually holding up another trade because the Dodgers traded when they thought they were getting Betts back. They went and traded an outfielder, Jock Peterson, to the Angels, right, Greg?
Yep.
And that might not happen now if they don't get Betts. So that's all hung up now. Which I didn't know if that was possible. I didn't know if that was legal if they could do that, but I guess it is.
Well, I think that they only made that trade with the assumption that they were getting Betts, and now that it's not 100%, there's why follow through with it. So all this came out on what was it, Tuesday night, all at once. I happened to be studying at the time, so I come back to my phone and I see like 20 messages from you and Sean and Ryan. Yeah, I was a little behind, but
you were very disappointing, actually.
Usually I'm on top of these things. Usually I'm the first one that reports these things to you guys because I got nothing better to do. But alas, here we are trying to better myself, and this is the reward I get.
Hey, you said it, people, not us.
Yeah. But what they were saying too with the Dodgers that with Betts they have 2 of the top 5 players in the league. Were they talking about Kershaw?
No, Betts.
No.
Bellinger.
Cody Bellinger.
Okay, that's the other guy, Bellinger. Okay.
Yeah, because he won the MVP last year.
2 out of the top 3 outfielders be on the same team.
He's an outfielder.
Yeah.
He's right or left or
He's
center.
a lefty. Oh,
I think he plays right. Yeah.
He's played. I know I've seen him play center before.
And Betts is left.
Betts is right field.
See, so they'll shift it around.
But I know that it's different, because like when we played softball, our weakest link was at right field. It was right here. And then,
that's not true, actually.
Oh man.
Because they never hit to you.
No, because I brought much needed depth to the outfield.
That's what it was. Don't hold back, Brad.
But I always thought that was pretty funny that people have said, like, oh, he's a right fielder, he doesn't do anything. It's like, are you kidding me?
In baseball,
like, these guys can hit it wherever the hell they want.
In baseball,
pretty much, yeah.
Right fielder, you're actually in baseball, left fielder is usually weaker. Because right fielder, you want a guy with a stronger arm.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's what I'm saying. It was so funny when people would say, oh, well, everyone's a righty nowadays. It's like, no. It's like you need to have a good person at each position. It's kind of like you should never be like, oh, well, right field doesn't matter. It's just like,
yeah. No, there are really 2 positions that like aren't on the high end of the defensive priority. One is left field, the other one's first base. And you would think first base you'd want a really good defender because then you need to pick those balls out of the dirt. But really, I mean, look at Luke Voit. Luke Voit is all bat. He's not the best defender. Greg Bird wasn't the best. I mean, he's not the best example.
Had a good defensive first baseman since what?
Teixeira.
Teixeira, right? Teixeira was great.
He was really good.
Yep.
I'm trying to think right now of some old school ones that weren't great.
Well, Don Mattingly.
Like well, like Mo Vaughn.
Don Mattingly, filthy.
The ones that weren't good.
That were good. That were like,
him. I think Carlos Delgado. I don't think was very good defensively. There were a handful.
Who was that guy that played for the Reds? He was like 7 feet tall. Or Nationals too. He played for the Nationals.
7 feet tall.
No, but he was like 6'7", 6'8", and all he would do is hit home runs or strike out. But he played all the time.
Adam Dunn.
That's it. Am I thinking?
It's funny because a lot of people compare Judge to Adam Dunn.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought Adam Dunn played first base.
He started out in the outfield.
But then he made down to first base.
I think he then got moved to first base because
I always used to remember him. He was just like me. When no one was on base, I get out. When someone was on base, I hit it good. He did the same thing. You know, it's kind of like he lost interest in it. I don't know why. You know, but like that's kind of funny that in the NL now, Price might actually have a resurgence in his career. Because most of the time you have a guaranteed out with the pitcher. Most of the time, don't you?
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be a lot weaker lineups that he's facing the AL East.
Yeah.
You know?
That's true.
I could just see Price having like one of those like resurgent years of him back.
Now, there's a catch to that, Tino, because they're talking within the next year or two.
Did we lose Craig?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
No, I can hear you now.
Yeah, we're here.
We're good.
Okay. All right. What was the last thing you heard me say?
There's
the cat or something.
yeah.
Oh, there's a catch to that. There's a catch to that because in the next year or so, they're talking about adding a universal DH to the National League.
Yeah. Which
So,
Yeah.
as a purist, yeah, I don't like it, but knowing which direction the game is going and how poor pitchers are as hitters, it it makes sense. I would love to see pitchers be able to hit. I think to be in the big leagues, you have to be a good hitter, no matter what position you play. But that's just not the reality. Yeah, but that's just not the reality of the situation. Pitchers are up to pitch, and that's all they do. So why do they need to hit? Why are you paying your money to go see a guy like I can't think of a bad pitcher. Greinke. What? Well, he can hit. He's one of the better hitters.
I thought
But
you
he's
were
a-
about good hitters.
Yeah, Bartolo Colon. But he's more of a humorist. Yeah, I would go see him. I would love to see him because he's so odd, and then he hit that home run up of that one time.
I love that. Side note: is he a Hall of Famer? Do you think?
No.
No.
He's what they call a compiler.
Well, that's just like that guy from the Phillies. What was his name? Not Harper. The guy from the Phillies that was like 48 and he was pitching in the World Series.
Oh yeah, Jamie.
Jimmy Moyer.
Was it Jamie Moyer? Yeah, he's like 50. He was pitching.
Yeah, of course you're going to have 3,000 strikeouts. You've been pitching for 30 years.
Yeah. No, that's what I always wondered if like they look at Cologne as like a kind of a sideshow instead of a. Because he could pitch decent sometimes.
He wanted to play in the MLB last year, but no one
take
him.
Yep, he's training. He's pitching down south.
Yeah.
But I doubt anyone's going to pick him up. He's 40-something years old. Yeah. The game today is all about youth and being able to last a whole season. So, with that said, speaking of terrible things, how about what's going on with the Mets?
What is going on with it? I keep getting updates about it, and it's about the president.
So it's
right?
funny because Mets fans were celebrating like Christmas came early, and their prayers have been answered by Steve Cohen, who's a billionaire who's going to buy the Mets. He's one of the richest guys, I think, in the country, and they're finally going to have some money to sign some big players. Because right now the Wilpons who own the Mets are like $350 million in debt. They're at the limit of how much debt you can be and have an MLB franchise.
Jesus.
And this guy came in and bought the team, but the Wilpons got greedy again, and they changed the terms. They said, "All right, we want 5 years of control," which he already said they could have, and then he was going to take over. But then they wanted him to also instate their son as the CEO and to make all the decisions. And he said no. And Wilpons backed out. So it's the
Wilpons backed out.
Yeah.
No, I thought Cohen walked away.
Well, Cohen walked away because of Wilpons' demands, and the Wilpons back out. Their demands they get met anyway. So
Isn't it funny? These guys $350 million in debt, which I understand.
And this guy was going to give you what was it?
Yeah,
2 something.
That's why.
How much billion did he pay for the team, Greg? Do you remember?
I don't remember. I don't know the number off the top of my head.
New York's got at least be a couple billion.
He was paying billions for this team. They're in debt $350 million, so you could take this money, and they're worried about what their son is going to do after this big payday. Their son complained, "Hey, Daddy, what am I going to do when you sell the team?" And that's realistically what happened.
It is.
Shut up. Or why does he just
do anything? Take $1 billion.
Why does he just go get a job someplace else? Is he much of a joke that he doesn't think he can get a job someplace else?
So I saw an interesting analogy was the light at the end of the tunnel for the Met fans Turned out just to be another train coming at him. So.
That's pretty good. I mean, isn't that like the most Mets thing that could possibly happen?
Oh,
It's the
absolutely.
Mets.
They're such a joke.
Their best player gets run down by a wild boar and
What?
Cespedes.
Did he really?
Yeah.
And he said first he said he tweaked his ankle walking around his ranch on like a low spot, and then no one believed him. So
Goddamn porker knocked me down.
literally a wild boar he was trying to tame. That got him.
That would be cooler though, no?
Right.
Yeah.
The guy's out there wrestling wild boars. Isn't that cool?
It's like Rocky chasing the chicken.
Right. It's so much cooler than I stepped in the wrong spot.
What'd you do, Cespedes? Well, I fought boars.
I fought a wild pig.
I thought he was on the trade block though too.
They are trying to trade him.
Yeah, they are.
Not after the boar injury.
He fought Pumbaa. Pumbaa won.
Right. And didn't something happen with the Mets? They sent out a thing about not the GM, but they sent something out about getting the manager, and it was kind of like, I don't know if that's wrong.
Well, the Mets manager that they hired
was Carlos Beltran.
Yeah,
but they said they sent out a thing to Mets fans saying like, "Don't worry, once we get blah blah blah." And every Met fan was like, "You should have said yes to the," you know what I'm saying? And we'd be fine right now. But
it's the Mets.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the same thing. Giants, Yankees, Jets, Mets. It's like the Jets are the same thing. You would say that's a Jet thing. You know, that's
and the Knicks. The Knicks are a mess. Knicks are as big as
but that's Knicks and Nets. The Nets are better this year though.
The Knicks are a joke. That's coming from a Knicks fan, which I regret it.
Too, yeah, they're just a mess.
They
I think they traded someone today, but
they did.
They did. The guy that
Morris, it's actually a good decision because Morris loves New York and New York loves them. So they traded him away today at the deadline, got draft picks, and they might actually resign him next year.
Oh, okay.
So, like a Chapman deal.
Yeah. Which a lot of Red Sox fans are saying could be a possibility for Mookie, but I don't believe it.
It could. I think he's going to stay in LA, but it's really.
I think he's going to love it out there.
Because if they don't have the money for him now, how are they going to have money for him next year?
Well, they cleared his salary and Price's salary, so they freed up some space, but you still need other things. You need other players. So I think he's going to love it out in LA. I think LA is the team that's going to be able to meet his contract demands. So I think he's going to end up staying out there. Sorry, Red Sox fans.
Did you see his lame excuse? He said, "I love Boston. I wanted to be here, but I thought it was my duty to the union to test free agency because every time guys go to free agency, they get paid more.
Yeah.
So you're pushing up players' salaries. You're actually doing something good for the union. That's garbage if you ask me. But
to me, with the salaries and all that stuff, shouldn't there be not so much a salary cap, but kind of a cap of how much you could play one player? You understand what I'm saying? Like guys, we're not gonna because you think about it, 20 years,
like the NBA. The NBA has those max contracts.
Yeah, like you could think about it in the MLB. There might someday be a $50 million guy, and it's like there is nobody that plays baseball that deserves $50 million.
Well, we said that
30.
We said that about 30, and now look at how many $30 million players there are.
Oh, it's crazy.
Well,
but the problem is all these. Go ahead, Brad.
I will say the one thing I will say is yes. Do these players deserve 30, 40, 50 million dollars to play a game? No. But if they don't get it, it just goes right into the pocket of the owner.
Yeah.
Took the words right out of my mouth.
So give it to the people that are out there doing the work.
What I honestly think, and I might be alone in this, but we maybe wouldn't have the issue we're having with Major League Baseball and them cutting 40 minor league baseball teams if instead of distributing to the profits to the players, you filter it down to the minor league systems and you keep
if
this.
You can guarantee the owners do that, then I'm all for that.
Yeah. Like that, I think they should be required to take a certain percentage, and maybe that's just because I'm, hopeful or hopeless romantic. But I would like to think that the owners would, if given the requirement, take a certain percentage of their profits and make sure that is applied to their minor league system. Because that's the problem. The whole reason why they're cutting teams from minor league baseball is because these teams aren't getting the proper funding.
Yeah.
Well, instead of having $40 million players, put it down to the minor leagues and make sure that those guys are making major league minimum at best, at least at the AAA, and then filter it down and have pay levels where at least the minor league, like the single A guys, are making a living wage because they have to work in the off season. They only make a certain amount of money unless they signed a signing bonus after getting drafted. So
Now I always wonder that too. Like the guys that get picked in like the first round, like some of them go to the minors, but they don't get a contract then either.
No, you get a
like a
signing
bonus, and that's the end of it.
But first rounders get pretty good money though.
But what I'm saying is that if you like what Greg was saying, there should be somewhat of a pay structure so that these kids don't have to go work at 7-Eleven. Like, dude, last season I saw you at first base. He goes, I'm still there. Gotta make money, It's just crazy to me.
It's true. And instead of cutting 40 teams from minor league baseball, taking baseball away from these small towns who are miles and miles and hours away from major league ballparks or other minor league ballparks, who rely on coming to these games to get their baseball fix, you're making people lose their jobs, not only baseball players, but the people that run these ballparks.
Yeah.
It's not right. It's not right. There's got to be a better way than just cutting the teams. And instead of padding the owners' pockets, they should be filtering it down to the minor leagues.
So I looked up the average salary of a single A or rookie ball player is about $1,100 per month. That's really low.
$1,100 per month. That's what, $13,000 a year.
Yeah, pretty much. And then once you hit the AAA, the average salary is $10,000 a month, which is
big difference,
right?
And so why don't they eliminate those type of leagues? Only
saying
that
they are
you give it, but you don't put. Why that's stupid to say this. Why AAA is the best, right? You can right before the MLB you go to AAA. Why not just have the roster be bigger? You don't understand what I'm saying?
Well, I don't think they need so many levels of minor league ball either.
No, I'm saying like
no, 3 levels is plenty.
Hockey's ECHL, AHL into the league. It should be AA, AAA, go. It's just. Or the AA is for the people that are never going to make it. They're just going to
how many rounds do they have in the draft, Greg? Do you know?
I think it's 25.
Jesus,
that's a lot.
They cut it back because it used to be like 50 or 60.
Yeah.
There's no need for it. All right.
But you draft all these players, and then most of the people that get drafted in the later rounds don't end up signing with the team anyway. They either go to college to build up their stock, or they do take the money and then they're gone within a year because they're completely overmatched. Yeah. So
if you're not drafted, and if you're not good enough to make a AA team when you're drafted, then you go overseas and play. Go down south, go somewhere and make a name for yourself, and then maybe someone will notice you. But
plus, then you have the draft, and then you have international signings. So then you have all these players that didn't come up through the United States or through a high school or college system.
Oh God, they don't even keep track of that. Like the people from like Dominican Republic, all that stuff.
That's all. No, they're all international signings. Each team is allotted a certain amount of international money a year to spend, and it's like signing day for college football. They pretty much have to go on a.
How does that work, Greg? How do some players? How are they put in the draft? But other players just get signed. Like the Yankees signed Jason Dominguez at 16 years old. How come he doesn't have to go into a draft? Do you know that?
I believe it's because he didn't go to American school or institution.
Okay. So if you're
I think that's it. So if you're outside the States, you probably have a better chance of getting signed by a team because you're not in an American school.
Because the NBA and NHL, even if you're not American, you have to go through the draft. I'm surprised MLB doesn't do something.
It should be, and I've heard them talk about having an international draft, which is stupid. Why have 2 separate drafts when you're all going to the same place?
It's so dumb.
Because it's dumb. It is dumb. I agree. And it should be either an international draft or these players should. It just should be an overall draft. That's it. It should be just like basketball and hockey.
Can you see the 50, 60, 70-year-old old white baseball writer say now these American kids have to compete with the whole world in draft? It's an abomination. Yeah. I can just see that happening because that's baseball.
But that's the world we live in, unfortunately.
So hockey, unfortunately, the foreign players are usually better than the American players. It's just it's life. It's not like it's the kid's fault. He's better than you.
No, but isn't that what makes America great? Is that you can come to America from outside the country and you can earn a living and become a U.S. citizen and do all that great stuff. Not to talk about politics because that's the last thing I want to talk about. But isn't that the point of all that? You can come here and you can make a living and you can do those things. So why hold this? Why hold a separate draft or hold a separate signing period for these very talented young players who don't have any money, who are begging or hoping that they're picked up by a major league team and fostered along until they're old enough to, like Jason Dominguez, until he's old enough to make it to the pro ball, to pro baseball teams, and then work his way up through the system.
And that stuff where they're signing these guys, that doesn't even mean the guys that they bid for, like the defectors and stuff like that. Like the kid that the Angels signed, the guy who could play pitcher,
Ohtani.
Yeah. They had to pay a certain money to bring him in. That doesn't.
Yeah. No, because that's a separate agreement with the Japanese Baseball League. There's so many stupid rules. And if you're trying to get in the major leagues, then you should just, like they do for college football, you have to declare for the draft, or college basketball. You have to declare for the draft. You have to enter the draft. That way, everybody's on a level playing field.
Yeah.
And you're pulled from the same pool, and you can go to these showcases and get ranked and rated and evaluated. And that's like the combine, like the NFL combine. And then that's what they base the drafting off of. You bring all this. You have it in one spot. You have all the scouts and all the general managers show up, and they watch these kids play like a 4 or 5 game series or have like a tournament with all these people in it, and then you evaluate them.
They also say, because like I listen to a lot of UFC stuff, but they also say in Japan it's they're run by the mob, the Yakuza. So that's probably the Yakuza working a deal to say you have to pay, because most of them have their hands in the pockets of the baseball league too. And it's kind of like, it seems so silly that you have to bid not to sign them, just to talk to them. You know, to me, that's just, they've done that with the UFC where it's like they have to pay a certain amount to this organization so they can have an event there. You know what I'm saying? And just think that there's, if anything, probably like the defectors and, all other, but when you get to Japan, they'll be like, no, you got to just pay us. Like that's when you know what I'm saying? Like
it's dumb, but at the same time, Japan is probably the only other professional baseball league in the world that is anywhere close to the talent level of Major League Baseball. And they're already professionals. That's the other thing. And that's why that was my big argument for Ohtani winning the Rookie of the Year, is that he already played a number of years of professional baseball. It may have been in another country, but he was already paid to do it. He's not a rookie. He's a rookie in the States, but not as a professional. And that's why he shouldn't have won. That's one of the big reasons why. I could go on and talk about this for days, but I don't want to bore you with that. Let's actually talk about some Yankee stuff, if that's okay.
I was just going to say that too. I know someone got hurt.
Yeah. Yes. Go ahead, Greg. Take it away.
Take it away, buddy.
So as of yesterday, and I can totally relate to this injury because I am going through something similar myself. James Paxton, left-handed pitcher, who was probably going to end up being the number 2 starter in the Yankees rotation, or 3, depending on how you stack him and Severino. James Paxton had a microscopic lumbar discectomy to remove a peridiscal cyst in his lower back. And he will miss 3 to 4 months.
That sounds not good.
Yeah, it's not. And apparently, this injury came about during his last start of the regular season, and he actually missed some time a little bit in there, and he got an injection, which is what I got. I got an epidural injection in my lower back. I actually got 2 of them. And then he came back and he was fine for a little bit, but then I guess the pain came back about 4 or 5 weeks ago. And they did another shot, and it didn't take. So now he got the surgery. And what I was told when I first herniated my disc in my lower back, and by the way, that is incredibly painful.
Oh yeah.
I could barely stand up. I could barely walk. I mean, Brad, you saw a little bit of it when I came up for my dad's birthday. I'll probably you don't see me that often in person, but you probably felt like, well, he doesn't look like himself. I did, but I couldn't run around. I could barely bend over. I mean, I had to have Sean hand me the wiffle balls on the ground a couple times. So it's not fun. You can't do the things you want to do. Huh? Are you there? You froze. Well, I'm going to talk until they come back. You can't do what you want to do. You're limited in your abilities. I could barely do anything. If I went anywhere in public, I had to take like a 5 minute break because just walking for extended period of time is painful. I had to sit on a cushion. It's not fun. Are you guys back?
Yeah, we're here. Keep going.
Okay, I lost you for a second, but I was just explaining all the tough parts of having a lower back injury. So he pitched through some of the pain, and I can only imagine how rough that had to be. So for him to get surgery, and what I was told when I first was injured is that surgery should be like a last resort.
Yep.
Back surgery in general is a very risky procedure, and you only should do it if you absolutely have to. I have now your cousin Marcus, Brad, he went through the same thing I did, and he actually got the surgery, which I believe it was the same procedure. It's a discectomy. I have a friend here who's a cop who got the same exact procedure, and they're still struggling with it. So even though you get the surgery, doesn't mean it's going to solve all your problems. And I didn't get the surgery, and I'm barely doing I'm doing a lot of what I was doing before I got hurt, but not to the same intensity. So you don't know what you're going to get, even though he has it. So we're going to get him back in 3 to 4 months, but there's no guarantee what Paxton we're going to see. Hopefully he's 100% and it's everything is all better. But what's your take on this, Bradford and Tino?
Well, yeah, I mean, they're saying 3 to 4 months, but that's including rehab time. So I think they're hoping May. Scott Boras' agent came out and said it's going to be more towards the earlier than the later part. So I mean, agents try to BS you all the time, but he seems to think that he's going to be back. Let's see, March, April, and then sometime in May. So less than 3 months. It sucks, but at the same time, Yankees had plenty of depth this year with the addition of Cole, and they didn't trade Happ. And now you got a lot of youngsters ready to come back. You got Montgomery, who's my personal favorite since he came up a couple years ago before he got hurt. I thought he was primed to be really good. He just has that makeup, that left-handed makeup that kind of reminded me of Pettit a little bit.
Pettit 2.0.
And then after him, you still got Loizaga, who should take a step forward this year. We'll see. Seth, I could care less about. He can, take a hike. And and then you got I don't know really too much about Michael King. They're bringing him up. And then Davy Garcia. And I think Davy Garcia ultimately starts in the minor leagues because he accelerated so fast last year. I don't think he's ready to jump right in the majors. But I think you still got Cole, Severino, Tanaka, Happ, and then I think Montgomery rounds that 5 out just fine until Paxton gets back, and then they'll have to make some tough decisions after that.
That's a quick starting 5.
Yeah, they got a really
they're deep.
Rotation.
Compared to recent years, this is the most optimistic I have felt about a Yankee starting rotation because we have our bona fide ace. We're getting Severino back, who, even if he's 3/4 of the pitcher he was 2 years ago before he got hurt, that's great. And then you have Paxton, who will be back this year, who you hope can be the Paxton he was at the end of last year and not at the beginning. And then you got Tanaka, who's fairly consistent. It just, he has a couple of rough outings here and there, but he always turns it on when it comes to playoffs. But I agree. My pick for the 5th spot is Jordan Montgomery, and this injury and the discomfort that Paxton was feeling was a big reason why the Yankees did not trade Happ back during the winter meetings to see how this whole thing played out.
Don't forget, Happ was pitching really well at the end of last year.
Yeah, I remember that.
He was. He turned it around because he would give up a home run on the first pitch of the game and then be fine.
Yeah.
But a lot remains to be seen. You hope that these guys take a step forward. Sessa, he's going to be around even though you don't want him to be because he actually did have a pretty solid year out of the bullpen.
Statistically, he did have a decent year last year. I'm never.
He's not for me. He's not an exciting player to watch. When he comes in the game, I'm like, eh.
He's kind of got that Ramiro Mendoza type role, but Mendoza was really good, and I like when he came.
But that's how I feel about when Happ is starting. Like usually, if I see who's starting, I'm like, oh, Severino, good, he's exciting to watch. Or Paxton, even though he's kind of like a very even-tempered guy, or Montgomery, they're at least interesting to watch. Happ is just like, he's kind of boring to watch. He's not, I'm not sitting there like, oh, great, Jay Happ is pitching today. I can't wait to watch him pitch. It's like, no, I'd rather just get through the inning and watch the offense.
Yeah, he's older, you know.
Yeah.
And is Chapman still the closer?
Yes.
See, I'm not a fan of him. Even though it's fastball or bust. You know, because we're so used to the way Mariano pitched that it was just so perfect.
Well, see, that's the thing. We got spoiled. We got so spoiled.
Yeah, it's you know, it's just like you know, any good player that will just have a Jeter for so long. It's you know, a shortstop, no one's ever going to live up to.
Mariano threw the same pitch all the time, and you knew it was going to be good.
Yeah,
Chapman, there's games where he just can't find the strike zone with his fastball, and you're like, oh boy.
Dude, it's just like watching Major League. It's like a wild thing. That's all he has is a fastball. It's like you got to learn how to control.
He's got a similar haircut. He just needs the jagged edges in the back.
But maybe he did that on purpose.
I like it.
It's funny how like fastball pitchers, especially the closers and the relievers, like they can be dead on or really bad.
Yeah,
you know, they can throw it over the ump's head by accident. You know what I'm saying? And it's
true.
Who's their reliever to get to?
They have a lot of them.
They have a bunch of them. Yeah, they lost one this year.
Like, they lost to Tantis. He went to the Mets, which is fine. But they still have Ottavino. They have Kaney. They have Britton, and you can keep going. Holder. You know?
Didn't they have Robinson for a little while?
That was a while ago.
Robertson's with the Phillies now, and he had Tommy John last year.
He missed all last year, right? Yeah. Basically.
I think he made like 2 or 3 appearances, and then he blew out his shoulder, which was a bullet dodged by the Yankees.
Philadelphia is they're calling them Yankee South because that's really what they are.
So that's what I was going to ask is now that Mookie Betts has moved on, you guys or the Yankees are probably the favorite to win the East.
Yeah, and the Rays are going to be really good again, but yeah, they're still.
But what I'm saying is that last year Boston, Houston, all that stuff, they played well and then they got to the World Series and lost. Like with the trade, does that trade make the NL or AL better?
Well,
when you're looking
makes
at
the Dodgers unbelievable.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Make it that, because like no one thought Houston was gonna, not Houston,
Washington Nationals.
I don't know much about baseball, but from the last stuff I was listening to, they really didn't give them much of a chance.
It's just that they got the pitching.
Yeah, that's the thing is like,
pitching wins championships.
It just seems like the Phillies.
Speaking of which,
the LA, they look really good.
Oh yeah, yeah. So who do the Astros have now to fill that void of Cole? Did they add anyone? Did they?
No, they've hardly done anything this offseason. They signed a couple of other than they've done a bunch prior to this season to create this whole controversy. But as far as signing players, they haven't done much. Really, all they had is Verlander, and I don't even remember who else was in, and Greinke. So
Greinke's on the
Astros? McCullers coming back.
Yeah. So maybe they're hoping he fills in that Cole void, but Cole is arguably right now the best pitcher in the game. Even though he for some reason didn't win the Cy Young Award, lost it to Verlander. But I don't know. I think Yankees are the clear favorite to go to the World Series this year for the American League, and I think the Dodgers now are the clear favorites to go to the World Series from the National League.
No, I understand that. I'm just saying, like, what, after the trade, do you think the AL or the NL is the better side?
So do you think the power, which was the
which
stronger
one's the
conference?
Because like you said, you got LA, you've got Phillies, and
the National League is much more competitive.
Okay.
And because
because look at the NL East. You have all those teams.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, you have the Braves who are going to compete. You got the Nationals who are defending champs. The Phillies are stacked this year, and then the Mets could be competitive, and I'm expecting better things from the Marlins.
The Mets could be good. Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah. The Mets. So the thing with the Mets that always happens with the Mets is they always come out of the gates hot.
Yeah.
And they'll be like the hottest team of April and May, and then a couple injuries will happen, and they'll just like fall off the face of the earth.
Realistically, in the NL, in the National League, there's only 3 teams you can eliminate right now. And that's the Marlins, the Pirates, and the Rockies. Other than those 3,
everybody.
Literally anybody can.
Mm-hmm. I was listening to Talking Baseball.
I'm sorry, 4. You gotta add the Giants.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's 4 teams out of 15 teams, or however. Yeah, I think it's 15. So I was listening to Talking Baseball with John Boy and Jake. I've actually been listening to those podcasts quite a bit lately, and they went through the entire league and like evaluated each team quickly, saying like, well, do you think this team's going to compete? Do you think? And they said only 4 teams from the National League, and there were more teams because they came out of the AL Central. That's the weakest division in the AL. They had far more teams in the AL that won't compete this year because you got the Orioles, the Royals, the Tigers, I can't even think, the Mariners. That's almost 5 teams right there. And
Minnesota's
this year,
got a pretty lineup.
Minnesota, even with adding Maeda, the pitcher, their rotation's pretty solid, and they led the league in home runs last year, so they're going to be a tough opponent.
I saw a tweet where like the starting lineup supposedly like the least amount of home runs was like 16, where everyone had
probably
a lot of home runs, like 20s, 30s.
Yeah, you don't see a starter anymore hit below 10 home runs. Everyone can hit the ball out of the ballpark.
Yeah. It's weird they go for that now instead of getting on base. They go for the boomers.
Yeah.
I'll
be interested to see this year. I think the Blue Jays might finish above the Red Sox this year.
I think it'll be close. I think they've because they picked up Ryu, the pitcher. They picked up another pitcher or two. They have that young core, which I'm really interested in seeing, and yet kind of afraid of because they're supposed to be really good. All the sons like Guerrero, Biggio, Bichette, and there's another one.
All their dads are really good now. All their sons.
No.
All their sons on the Blue Jays.
I got flat.
Yeah.
I got flat.
So they and they all played almost a whole year last year. So they're only going to get better. That's a little scary. So they could, if they're clicking on all cylinders, they could be sitting in third place.
The Yankees have to be there. They can't just. You understand what I'm saying? Like with the Red Sox going down a little bit in talent, like the rest of the teams besides the Orioles have a chance to make it competitive.
Yeah, it's a good.
They will make some noise for sure.
They can't really have like a down month, or you know what I'm saying?
No. I saw a tweet earlier today that said, well, everybody's automatically given the division to the Yankees. And I say that's great, but they have to play hard. They can't just take it for granted. They can't
They will
coast by. And they won't. They're not. They don't have that makeup.
Well, the fans have.
The fans do, yeah.
It's just I'll always remember when Chapman threw that pitch. Like if that was me in that situation, I'd be crying. And just let it lay out there. He just looked like, oh, I can't wait to go get something to eat. You know what I'm saying?
I think he was thinking, of course he hit that ball. He knew it was coming.
Or did I hear a trash can?
Yeah.
Was that a buzz? Was that a buzz I heard?
Yeah.
Yeah, Michael K said Chapman is the only pitcher that didn't want multiple signs. All the other pitchers knew what was going on. They wanted multiple signs from the catchers to throw them off. Chapman did not. So that's why he smiled. He's like, yep, well, he got me. So not to go back to the cheating thing. I don't want to get back in that.
No, because that's a whole different conversation, and I'm anxious to see what happens to the Red Sox, but who knows? Going back to the Yankees pitchers and catchers report next week. So baseball is almost here. They report the 12th. Today is the 6th, so we're 6 days away. That's exciting. That's down here in Tampa, which is an hour and a half drive, 2-hour drive away from me. I'm hoping to get out to a game or two this year. Brian's actually going to come down.
Live reporting on this channel from spring training.
Yeah, that would be cool.
That would be nice. I would like to do that. Maybe we can get some interaction. Maybe get Ryan involved. Yeah, that's a guy we want on camera, right?
I mean that personality is great for TV.
But yeah, no, I'd love to get there and see that because a lot of these other podcasters and stuff, they're coming down. They'll be around, so it'd be cool to.
First time ever I listened to. Is it John Boy or John
Boy?
John
Boy. Yeah.
I didn't really like the way he does his thing, but it's just good for him because he
started 2 years ago just doing this, and now he's
same exact thing we did. But then he quit his job, and now that's all he does, and it took off.
He's really
that's why I'm kind of proud of us, though. We all have jobs, and we've got over 1,700 subscribers. Like, imagine if we, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like, I could quit my job too, but I'm not gonna. And it's just
gotta take off a lot and gotta go viral.
Yeah,
and
that's the
and
thing.
stay consistent.
Yeah,
And that's the tough part about this is that
We'll see what happened with John Boy. He got really popular doing those lip
reading
reading
stuff.
things.
Yeah,
Mhm.
like I said, it's interesting, because
But I don't know how. How does he get the clips of the games like that? Like,
I don't know.
does that?
I don't know either.
Oh,
He
no,
has to have some sort of software that he can grab that stuff because
No, he
record
never-
every game.
What he probably did is because he's making money now, he probably paid something to the MLB.
Well, I mean, before that though.
Oh, before I don't know.
he was screen grabbing. He was ripping it somehow. I don't know how. There's some software out there where you can do that, but
Like,
that's
how
risky.
These fans that
because it's
these graphs about the cheating scandal and all, and these fans that went back to every single at bat and recorded like bangs on trash cans. How do they have this footage? Did they
How do they
record?
have that
Did
time?
they record every single game of the Astros? Like that makes no
well,
sense.
the thing you can do is you have the MLB TV app, which I do, and you can always go back to previous aired games.
But can you really? You can go back to any
Yeah,
game?
Like,
I think a certain time
every-
back,
Okay.
but any game that was aired on television, you can pretty much get it and watch and rewatch. But I don't know how you can because you can screen record, but actually, if you try and screen record with your phone on the MLB TV app, it blocks it out and says this option is not available.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there has to be some software out there that they're getting that records the screen and records the audio.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, because I don't know how he gets some of the footage he gets, and
mhm.
instantly he's already reposting it online.
Yeah.
A lot of it
Apparently, he sits at his computer and he waits for stuff like that to happen.
a lot of it
him.
with YouTubers
Yeah.
and stuff like that is that NBA, hockey, MLB, golf, the leagues really don't care. The NFL is on you like crazy. The other leagues, like they might catch you every once in a while, but they really don't care if you've got that sort of material out there because it's helping the league, showing stuff and all that. But like the NFL is because we tried to do it for a
The NFL.
the NFL
No,
thing.
NCAA. We tried to do.
We tried to do the NCAA and the NFL, and the NCAA was right away
Yeah.
because it was the tournament. So everyone knows the tournament's going on. But with the NFL stuff, we played a whole Raiders-Packers game. We had like thousands and thousands of views
Yeah,
and like
people like
500 new subscribers. And then like 2 days later, they took everything away.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's just like
It's risky because that's all copywritten stuff, and that's the other concern with what John Boy does is I don't know how he does it, and they didn't like take it all down because it's all copywritten by MLB. So good for him, but it's a good way to grow the game because he's making these clips, these short clips for people with short attention spans to watch quickly, get a laugh, get a view, and then they're like, oh well, if that's what happens during Major League Baseball, maybe I'll watch some more.
Yeah.
Speaking of short attention spans, we're coming up on the hour mark, so
Yeah. So
we can work on that.
one more question, and then we can wrap up. Spring training starts next week, and after the Betts trade goes official, do you think any of these other teams, like the Chicago Cubs or the Colorado Rockies, with players like Kris Bryant and Nolan Arenado, feel any pressure to trade these guys?
Pressure? No. Will they do it? I think so.
Yeah.
I don't think MLB executives they're the kind of guys that are not going to get pressured by what other teams do. They have their own agenda, and they're going to do what they need to do for their team. But that being said, I do believe that one or maybe both of those guys do get dealt. I heard Kris Bryant isn't the best clubhouse guy.
Yeah, I heard that too.
I heard the whole Cub team doesn't win as much as they should because there are so many cliques and different groups in that clubhouse. Everyone, nobody likes each other, and that comes from your superstar. Like your leader is Kris Bryant, and I think he's best friends with Bryce Harper. Look at the kind of garbage guy Harper can be sometimes. I think,
and they got rid of Madden.
So I think that's a good reason to get rid of Bryant and Arenado. I think they're going to get rid of just because he's frustrated with the whole organization, and that's just kind of like a
it's not his fault.
marriage that's not going in the right direction.
Really, I mean, if I was the kid from the Rockies, I'd just be like, guys, I give you 100%. Just, I'm sorry, but I want to win a championship. Like, I don't want to be one of those guys to be, but he never, because if he stays with the Rockies, he might never make the playoffs, let alone win a championship.
Just like Mike Trout with the Angels.
Yeah,
he signed that big extension, and he may never win a World Series because the Angels.
But they're trying.
They are trying. I'll give you that. They are trying because they did sign Rendon. They did make a couple moves. They got Jock Peterson once this thing goes through. They're building it, but
trying to get Cole.
Yeah, but with the way that the other teams in the American League are, it's going to be difficult.
Right.
And so, I mean, you can just have some fun with it and imagine the Yankees trying to make a trade for Kris Bryant or Nolan Arenado.
I'm hearing a lot of people like I listen to MLB Radio Network almost all day long when I'm in the car, and a lot of their experts and people on Twitter are really predicting that Lindor is going to be a Yankee. Like everyone's almost positive Lindor is going to be a Yankee.
Yeah, they said the same thing about Kluber last year or Trevor Bauer last year.
Yeah, but that was the Indians telling everyone they were going to trade him, and they didn't. You know.
Yeah.
Which they could be doing with Lindor too. I'm thinking. I'm just talking about Lindor. What's he at? 1 or 2? I think does he have 2 years left?
I think he has 2 years left on his contract.
I think. Yeah. So
Well,
I don't know if they're talking about him signing with the Yankees, but they said they think the Yankees can trade for him too. If the Indians really want to go that route.
What would you give up for him on the team? Like honestly, like and you're gonna that good, you're gonna have to take one of those superstars out.
What would I give up?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want him personally.
Oh, okay. Well, then you don't want him. No,
I mean, Lindor's a great player. I love him at shortstop. It's just that I don't think we need to. This Yankee team has won over 100 games 3 years in a row. Like, there's no reason to keep trying to improve.
It's funny because the Yankees, they always any marquee player that's on the market, the first spot they say is the Yankees.
You'd have to trade Andujar. You'd have to trade at least 2 pitching prospects, and then probably more than that. I don't know.
You'd have to try and figure out how to dump some salary.
That too.
You don't want to be over the luxury.
But the problem is one of the people you'd probably try to dump would be Happ, but you need him right now because Paxton's out of the loop.
And no
one wants.
I was just gonna say you took my thunder. I was gonna say, what about Stanton? I would trade Stanton.
Stanton's got a full no trade clause. He'll probably only approve a trade to West Coast.
Didn't he play 10 games last year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah, but he had some freak injuries and.
No, it's just funny. Like, think about like a GM being like, "How many games did he play? 10? Oh my gosh!"
Which is cool because you could almost say the Yankees are adding another huge player this year.
But it's just funny how
I would love to see 80. Yeah, it's weird. It's weird saying 10 games because Major League Baseball seasons are so long.
Yeah.
But no, I would love to see 80 home runs between Judge and Stanton next year.
That's one of the questions I asked Greg on one of our shows. Do you think we'll ever see the true Bash brothers, Stanton and Judge, healthy at the same time? Because it never has happened. It didn't happen at all.
It didn't happen at all. I think you're
nope. I think it's going to happen this year. I think I would love Stan to hit at least 30 home runs and bat 260 and drive in 90-something runs and shut up some of these people that are criticizing him.
Stanton, though, I've seen Stanton, though, he's always been injured.
Yeah, he's very prone.
Just,
when he did play last year, he played good.
Yeah.
One of the best players in the league.
And he played hurt the year before, his first year with the Yankees. He played hurt for 2 months.
He carried
he carried the team. Yeah.
When Judge was hurt.
Yeah.
So
it's just like I said, it's just something that would you give up someone that? But those great players, they always have that no trade clause. Where?
Yeah.
At that point, I don't know. Paxton. This is Paxton's last year, so he came to trade
Paxton's a free agent after this year. You could and get some prospects for him, but why would you want to when you know what he's capable of and you're trying to win a championship?
Yeah. No, I mean,
and he's a lefty.
I'm talking about for Lindor.
I wouldn't trade him for Lindor.
Yeah. Oh.
Nah.
You'd have to give up. Cleveland's going to want prospects. They're going to want major league. They're going to want as many major league prospects as you can give, and then they're going to want some younger guys that are highly rated. Like, I don't know if they'll give up Jason Dominguez for him, but they'll probably start there, and they'll probably ask for Andujar, and they'll probably ask for Davy Garcia, who's or Clark Schmidt, who are one of their top pitching prospects.
What about that young kid, 16-year-old?
That's Dominguez.
Oh, that is Dominguez.
I don't think they trade.
I thought it was Rodriguez. I get him mixed up.
Everyone keeps saying Dominguez is gonna be a huge star. So.
Yeah, and he looks 22 years old already, and he's 16.
He's already like the number 60-something prospect in all of baseball.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's insane. He's a beast. So with that said, maybe we can try and record again next week, do another live show, maybe get a viewer or two, and we can talk about the start of spring training, and hopefully some new exciting stuff is developed in the world of baseball. But I guess we could call it a wrap on this. Those of you who are interested, Brad and Tino are going to do another live cast after this, talking about the XFL, if I'm not mistaken. What else are you guys going to talk about?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I just went through the rosters and went through the guys that people would know, because it's a pretty big no-name team or no-name league, except for a few guys that, like, I try to do like the regular guy. If a regular guy's looking at the roster, who is he going to recognize?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And just they've already got bet nods out there for the games this weekend and stuff like that. So we're going to go through pretty much everything, just a big old preview of the whole league.
Good. Well, that should be exciting, and hopefully those that tune in or that catch that enjoy it. And that's the Bigger and Bradder Sports Show. They have their own YouTube channel. Please subscribe and check them out. They're fantastic. They do a good job at and they're just fun to talk to. So that's them. And guys, tell them who you are again, and tell them where they can find you.
I'm a nobody. Don't worry about me.
Brad, don't say that. We're all about positive vibes here.
All right, check us out in the B&B Big and Bradder Sports Show, or on Twitter. I'm at Yankee Chatter 1, and
I'm at Big Tuna BBS. Big Black.
That's right. And that's how you want to do it. But
we're on Twitter. We're on Instagram too, at Bigger and Bradder Sports, all one word. That we got Twitter, and like I said, we put the Yankee Chatter stuff on our page as well, so we can get as many views as possible. Mm-hmm. Baseball's fun to look.
Yeah.
I won't watch it, but I'll look at the stats.
All right. Talk about it.
Yeah, I'll just talk about it.
Yeah, it's fun to talk about. It's fun to talk about. I appreciate the plug. We are Yankee Chatter. They're Bigger and Bradder Sports. Find us on all the socials at Yankee Chatter. You can find me on social media, on Twitter at GregAndrano05. It's been a pleasure talking to you guys. Let's hope that we can do this some more and get some viewers and keep the good conversations going. Until next time, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you soon.
I like that. See you soon.
You stay classy.
Yeah, no, you don't put like
We'll see you real soon.
you don't put a number on it.
Yeah.
We cut it.